All right, here we go. Welcome to Health, Wealth, and Happiness Monthly Mastery. This topic has been on my mind since the beginning of the year. I really want to make sure I'm serving you and helping you. We got some bubbles. We got this beautiful trifecta of happiness. We got some tactics to roll with. Today's topic, how to live a fulfilling, purposeful life. Thank you so much for being here. It's such an absolute honor to be here with you. My grandpa's birthday, one of my biggest mentors and influencers in life, just passed, and he would have been 96. And I woke up that morning and I was like, you know what? Gramps is telling me. I'm having a conversation with him. And his question to me was, have you been living a life where you've been demonstrating unconditional love, like Grandma and I taught you, mentored you, showed you? And I'm like thinking about it. And I don't know if you believe in like talking to spirits and so on, but I just kind of positioned that question in my mind from his perspective, from the way he is. And I was like, you know what? I think I have been, but I got to double down on it. Got to make sure I'm taking care of you. Make sure that I'm supporting you, helping you, caring for you, demonstrating compassion, recognizing that you may have struggles, trying to alleviate them, and really challenging you too. That's the coach in me. So I cannot thank you enough for being here. So today's topic got a lot to cover. So make sure you got everything set and you're ready to roll. So let's go through the lay of the land. First and foremost, how does this work? First of all, you may know if you've been here before, big picture. We're going to start with the life assessment. Then we're going to dive into some tactics there. Then we're going to dive into training and make sure we totally take care of you in terms of some ideas, a great technique, if you want to call it that, of visually seeing how you're doing in the big picture of life to live a fulfilling, purposeful life. That's these bubbles. Been testing this on coaching clients, one-on-one coaching clients in person. They love the bubbles. So I think you get a lot out of today's work. And I cannot wait to see what you create from this beautiful journey we're on together. And then of course, I want to make sure that we leave you with specific marching orders so that you can go forward and rock this out. That's the shift, right? Some of the highest performing people, they set great intentions, but they don't take near enough action on those intentions. They know this is what I should be doing. Don't take the right amount of action with those. If you want to think of it, I've said this before, like an intention dial of 9 or 10, like you got full intention, you're clear on what you need to do, and then the corresponding dial over here is action on those intentions. It's like a 2 or 3 out of 10. So where's your dials? What have you been clear that you need to take action on? And oops, haven't done that. And trust me, I'm living this. I'm looking at all the things that I have intentions to do, and I've been like 4 or 5 out of these, and I'm like, I gotta bump this up. This has got to stop. So I'm gonna make sure as we go through this work today that I'm being open with you to make sure you feel exactly how things are rolling up for me. And I'm open and honest with you, especially when we get in these bubbles. I think you'll really enjoy this. So thank you so much for being here. Let's go ahead. How do we get the most out of our time together? Real quick, make sure you have no distractions. As Cal Newport teaches in Deep Work, the idea of we have all these distractions that keep us in a shallow state of connection with whatever we're doing, with ourself, with our mindset. Before all this stuff happened, like 100 years ago, we were in a naturally deeper state of connection with things because there was less stuff on our plate, like less buzzers and notifications and all that showing up, right? His new book, Digital Minimalism, I think this is what it's called, Digital Minimalism, I've been reading that. That's really powerful about the science, the academic behind that, making sure you understand what's really shifted for the human psychology because of distraction and digital devices and all these kind of things. So make sure in the context of this, turn off your buzzers, turn things off, just concentrate on this. If you're watching the replay, headphones, just one-on-one time. Even if you're listening to the replay, make sure you're owning it. Take notes, star any questions. As you know, 2 times per month, we have our monthly Zoom Q&A. This afternoon we'll have one, and then we'll have one later on in the month to make sure we're taking care of you. Because here's what I know. You can get all the ideas and you're like, one little thing stops you and you need that help. I'm here to provide that for you. I'm very clear about that. That's very in alignment with my purpose to make sure you're taken care of on your journey. Of course, make sure as we talk, or even in the comments, whatever it is for you, that you're open and vulnerable. really important. This is what I teach a lot of the people that I start coaching, is that we have, at least in our relationship, this is a safe zone. We have to be open and vulnerable to make sure we're taking care of each other. And I'm going to demonstrate that. I'll make sure, just as I shared with Grandpa talking to me. I'm really demonstrating that piece because that's where growth comes from. That's being, honest with where you're at, authentic, transparent, whatever you want to call it. And of course, know if you participate by sharing that, I reward for participation. As you can see, I got some high performance planners, a 3-pack, a year pack, 6, and even singles. So please, if you really want to move the needle forward for you and for others, because when you share, others are more apt to share, please participate. So that being said, let's start this off by saying, if you are committed to really take an intention to action, share one reason in the comments below of why that's important to you. Why is it important to you now to go from, I got all these intentions to take action, and what that one thing is you're going to take action on that's been maybe lingering there, holding you up, that you haven't been doing yet this year. What is that for you? If you share it below, I might be sending you a little reward. Maybe one of these. It might be digital minimalism. We'll see how that goes. Please share below. Let us know. What's the one thing you got to move forward with that's got a lot of intention, haven't taken much action? You want me to start? Awesome. I really am going after helping the world in bigger ways. And we've been starting to take action on what we call scale in our business, where we have online funnels and we have this sequencing and so on. But we're doubling down on it. And I've already, in answering this question, we've already started to take massive action on it after we got everything set up in terms of the planning and so on. So now it's action time. So you're going to see some shifts, you're going to see some of that happening, but I want to make sure I'm open and vulnerable with you, right? It's the biggest part of all this. And finally, please know, we're all here for you. Brings, get teary-eyed thinking about this. Just the fact that we have this beautiful community of supporting, loving people, helping each other, really critical. We're all here for each other. But in the bigger scope on this beautiful planet, shouldn't that be the case? So I hope we're moving that needle forward and really helping in that regard. Next up, our first step is perspective. So as we think about this, go ahead and get the life assessment. It's available in the comment below, like the description below, or you can go to bit.ly/mylifeassessment, all one word, and you can get it there as well. And basically, we're going to walk through these areas to get the big picture why all the stuff we're going to cover today is even important. Cool? So let's get started. First part of the life assessment, first assessment item is now. And here's the statement. I am where I thought I'd be at this point in my life. Overall, I'm living in the best version of myself for me, those I love and care for, and the world. And you're going to see how this connects to this as we get into the training piece. This is kind of warming it up. But what I want you to do is rate yourself 1, if you don't agree with the statement at all. 10, you're owning this. Yeah, I'm where I thought I'd be at this point in my life. Matter of fact, I'm beyond that. I know what the best version of myself is. For me, for those I love, care for, and serve, and the world. I'm good. I get it. What is that for you? Got any ideas? I love that. The highest performers are incredibly clear in these areas. They've spent a lot of time journaling, thinking through, being coached on these specific things so that they live a life of clarity, focus, and bring the right energy, are courageous toward those ends, and really go after their life's ambitions. You follow? Really, really critical. Really pivotal if you want to live that fully charged life as we teach in high performance. Full engagement, joy, confidence, fulfilled, purposeful. All these words kind of coming together here. Next, my best self. So we'll dive a little deeper on your best self. Overall, I feel healthy, happy, and energized. My energy levels are consistent throughout the day and even sustain into the evenings until I wind down for bed. How are you doing there? Boy, that's a tall order, isn't it? Have you actually sat down and said, or researched, or tested and measured any of these things? My best self is doing these things. In terms of time to go to bed, amount of sleep at night. We'll talk about that in a little bit as we get into our wheel of perspective. Are your energy levels consistent throughout the day? So 1, don't agree with this statement at all. Somewhere in between, as you feel more and more comfortable with the statement. 10, you're owning this. Share in the comments below. I'm watching you. I want to make sure we're taking care of you. Really, really pivotal here. Third item on the assessment, my relationships. I work diligently to create, build, and maintain great relationships with those around me. I feel I'm a good role model for my loved ones and those close to me and the world. I consistently listen well, show compassion for myself and others, and communicate my thoughts and feelings. Tall order. You could probably rate each of these individually, right? We're looking for an overall rating. 1, I agree with these statements. Or I don't agree with these statements. 10, I own this. Got this. Now this is a big part of business too, right? Every business is based on great relationships. I always say every exceptional business is based on exceptional relationships. And making sure you're taking care of people. One of the people I'm working with, a Ritz-Carlton level of service. That's like, in their mind, that's an exceptional. If you've ever been to Ritz-Carlton, you kind of get it. Unless you had a bad experience. But most of the time, they're great. Taking care of it, owning it. The role model piece, and you listen well. You're compassionate. Owning that piece too. How you doing? Share below, and love to hear how you're doing with that right now. Maybe reflect back on 2019 so far. What's showing up for you? 4th, stress, overwhelm, and clarity. I have great stress management practices in my life. When I do get stressed, I know exactly what to do to reduce or remove it from my life. And finally, I typically do not feel overwhelmed or distracted because I have clarity of who I am and what I should be doing every day. Super, see how these things stack? Super tall order here. So let me give you an illustration here. When I get stressed, overwhelmed, usually it's because there's a little too much life showing up, we'll call it, where things are like, this isn't part of what I thought was going to happen today. But what I do immediately when I feel that is I disconnect from what I'm doing and I take a 5 to 10 minute walk. Breathe deep. And I usually do it outside, blessed to live in Florida for that very reason. And I'm smelling like flowers, trees, just looking around at nature. I come back and I feel reset, rejuvenated, recharged. We're going to talk about that over here today too. That's a practice that I put in play. What's your practice for having great stress management practices in your life? Like, what do you do when you get stressed? You let it compound, or do you have something in play where you can shift that? Any ideas? Would love to know. So rate yourself. 1, don't agree with this at all. 10, crushing it. Got this covered, no problem. Next up is my career mission. The work I do in the world is meaningful to me. I believe I'm consistent about living in alignment with what is the best use of me, my passions, and my talents. That's tough. A lot of people that I've worked with and continue to work with, they're out of alignment there, and they're living they'll self-classify as a half-life. Like, I know I could be doing this, but I'm afraid of the transition. And it's usually related to finances or support, courage, all these kind of things, right? Really, really powerful when you get this in alignment. So 1, don't agree with this at all. 10, crushing it. And if you're at a 10, 9, or 8, would love for you to share what was that shift for you? Where did you get, clarity around what you wanted to do? What was maybe your big aha, if you want to think about it? Mine was through going through the work of high performance. When I got to the purpose session, which is session 11 in the core, it was like, boom. My job on this planet is to help people from where they're at to where they want to be, but also to be more clear, be more purposeful, have life's ambitions and be working towards them, like perhaps traveling the world or doing more fun and interesting vacations, but also living within their means, big part of that. You follow? So this is kind of a couple of pieces of my purpose statement, but I'm ultra clear on that. More clear than I've ever been in my life, and so blessed to be able to share that with you. So how clear are you? I'd love to hear your rating. Would love to hear how you got there. If you're up for sharing it. And remember, we reward participation. So I'll be looking through the comments, making sure. You got it? Cool, okay. Next up, my hobbies and passions. I know and understand the importance of having hobbies to help me continually connect with my creative and self-expressive side. I'm consistent about nurturing my hobbies and passions. One of my passions, along the lines of hobbies, is going and just discovering nature on the beach. So if you want some great nature shots, go ahead and pop on my Instagram. And the replay, maybe I'll link it so you can get right to it. But it's instagram.com/ccaldwell2. And just take a look and you'll see that I'm living it. I'll go back to my Instagram feed and just look it over and be like, I love it during a day, as a stress practice, stress reduction practice. I'll be like, yeah, I'm going to be doing that soon. Really powerful, but I'd love to know, what is your rating here? 1, not at all, don't agree with this. 10, I got hobbies and passions that I'm constantly nurturing. You feel the power of why this is important for you? To really live a connected, purposeful, fulfilled life, the theme of today's training. I hope you're seeing it. And finally, my life's ambitions. If I died tomorrow, I wouldn't have any regrets. I lived a life where I've paid attention to and taken action on my life's ambitions. At least once a year, I reevaluate my life's ambitions and schedule time for them. The highest performers are really clear about that. They sit down, like I do, at the end of, like last year. Usually it's around Thanksgiving, actually, now. I look over the next year and I'm like, what are the things that we really want to go after? Trips that we want to take. And usually my wife's taking care of that. Like, here's some things that I have for ideas and so on. And we got that. We already had a plan moving in the new year. It's something to look forward to, something to anticipate, something to go after. Do you have that? What's your plan for the next year to really take care of going after? Some people will reference this as their bucket list. Here's the things that I want to do in my life. What is that for you? And what's your rating? 1, you agree with this? Don't agree with this? 10, you're owning this. You're paying attention to your life's ambitions, thinking about it every day. Even if you can't move forward with them today, you're thinking about, okay, doing this work so I can go after them. You follow? Got to get through this, or got to serve here, got to emotionally be in a positive place here and connect and do what I got to do so that I can go after these things too. High performance productivity, we teach that as the idea of having projects or dreams or aspirations on our one-page productivity plan, but recognizing you have priorities too. Priorities are things I got to do today. These are the big dreams or ambitions that I'm going after in my life. Follow? Cool. Awesome. All right. Next, let's get the wheel of perspective. There's a link below. You'll see that piece of paper. It's got this on it. We're going to walk through the tactics for really assuring you're feeling energized, feeling your best, just through the physiology and needle movers, what we've kind of covered a little bit, but also we're going to dive deeper here. So that being said, the needle movers towards being your best self. First, in the last month, how well have you slept? 7 to 9 hours, depending what you need, waking up feeling fully rested. For me, that's a 9. Really owning that. I don't let sleep fall apart at all anymore. I'm really clear about it. If I don't get my sleep, my whole life kind of unfolds in a really not so good way. Next up is hydration. How well have you been? Let's grab a drink of water as we're talking about this. Hydrating, drinking water. Not like I did in the old days, drinking sodas. Bringing the joy, really owning it. How well are you doing there? For me, I've always got my bottles with me. And that was a big kind of distinction for me, was I just needed water around me. Because when it's there, I am on it, owning it, I just got to make sure it's there. Build a habit for that. So where are you at? And it's cool if you're at a 1 or 2. Just think about, as you look at these numbers, what's one thing you can do to level it up? Next up, eating. And when I say eating, it's eating nutrient rich 80% of the time. What is nutrient rich? Nutrient rich is eating fruits, veggies, lean protein, nuts, legumes, kind of staying away from the beige foods, starches, breads, croissants, donuts, those kinds of things. And that may be a big shift for you. I know with a couple of people in my family right now, it's a huge shift. But I had to course correct on this, 7 years ago. Not that I don't have what I like to call bringing my big boy self out. Thanks, Drew, for that. But not that I don't have that. Once a week, maybe one meal a week, I'll just go old school. Really go after maybe a good pizza or a good, you may know, lasagna. But most of the time, majority of the time, I'm on that. Non-dairy based food is best for me. So I have a non-dairy based yogurt. Usually it's almond milk based. I have true veggie juice, which is very low in sugar for breakfast. Organic coffee. I love to make sure that I start my day with that. That's a really powerful trifecta. Then I get into lunch. That might be a high performance shake. You can see me make that in day 3 of the 10-day Health, Wealth, and Happiness Challenge, and I'll make sure to link to that for you. but it's spinach, strawberries, these kind of things, a couple powders, maybe a banana, and then it's in a shake, like a smoothie. Those kind of things. And if that sounds awful to you, I challenge you to try it, because boy, did that change my energy. And a lot of people say, dude, you look so vibrant. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm eating nutrient rich most of the time. Next up is exercise. And in high performance, we teach it like this. Get out twice a week for 60 minutes at moderate pace. And if that's walking fast for you, like walking for an hour, cool. For me, that's running for 20, 30 minutes and then hitting the gym. And then 2 more days a week, 20 minutes higher intensity. And then the rest of the week, just taking walks, getting out, moving the body, maybe stretching, yoga, whatever that would be. Just moving the body, getting rolling. How you doing there? 7 for me. Been down a little bit as we've been just in work mode, but also we've been doing a lot more walking and really owning that in the last few days. But I'm looking at the last month for this. So early on in last month, we were just heavy duty and getting the businesses set up for 2019. And it kind of dipped a little bit. Not much, just a little bit. Next up is taking breaks. We know the power of taking breaks, meaning that you work for about an hour, take a 5-10 minute break, reset yourself. People report that it gives them more emotional connection to the day. They feel better. You follow? So how you doing there? Taking breaks? I got that owned. I know. The moment 50 minutes hits, I'm out the door. I'm moving around, shifting things up, doing whatever I got to do, then come back. During the break, I usually set intention for, did I do what I wanted to do? When I go into this time block, as we call it in high performance, when I go into this time block, how am I doing there? Am I owning it? Am I going after it? Next up is happiness. How have you been doing with happiness? Really owning that idea of being around people that uplift you, living into this beauty, learning new things, creating things from what you've learned, sharing them with the world, even if it's just on social, even if it's just the people you love, care for, serve, whatever that would be. 9 for me, living that every day. But I've structured my life that way. My challenge for you is to really think about what I've just shared. Who are you around the most? Are you learning new things? Do you have a practice for that? Are you creating? Are you sharing? Finances. Are you owning your finances, or are your finances owning you? 1 to 10. What is that for you? But here's a way to tell. Do you have enough to break even every month coming in? Meaning to take care of your core expenses. On top of that, do you have enough for some fun? And on top of that, are you saving for the future? If you're meeting 3 of those 3 in a consistent fashion, and maybe part of your break even is reduction of debt, maybe you're paying down debt, that's cool. But you still have money to have fun with, and you still are saving for the future, then you're on the path to mastery there. And I want to congratulate you. If you're not, and you need some help there, let me know. I'm here for you. I promise you this. We'll have a conversation, and we'll own that for you. I've gotten so much mastery there over the last 30 years, helping so many people, really powerful. Next, presence. How present have you been? Even just with yourself. Not thinking about the past too much, not too far in the future, but here in the moment with yourself, with those you love, care for, serve. What is that for you? I always feel like there's more for me, but I also feel very present with you right now. And I'm so honored to be here with you. Thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to help you, serve you, take care of you, own this time together. Next up, purposeful. Kind of going back to some of the things we talked about in our life assessment, right? How purposeful have you felt in the last month? What's showing up for you there? Do you have a purpose statement defined? Are you living into it? Or at the high arc, like we talk about, are you helping others improve their lives? Are you helping others grow their business if that's part of what you do? And are you feeling purposeful about it? Is it aligned with you? Get an emotional surge from it, like you feel passionate about it. Finally, do you have a daily plan, and are you living into it? And that for me is everything. I'm really clear going in every day what I got to do today, what absolutely has to be done, and the bigger ambitions. It all comes from this beautiful thing, the high performance planner, and the 1-page productivity plan. Those things in combination really help me stay dialed in. Now, the 1-page productivity plan for me is in Evernote, and I do that, review that, keep in contact. I even have I have a photographic memory so I can remember what I got to do and go after it. You follow? So how did you do? What's one area you're going to be like, you know what, for the next month, I got to own this. I'm going to concentrate on this. I'm going to take care of it. Cool? So that being said, our second step is training. So now let's go ahead and transition to teaching you how to live a fulfilling, purposeful life. And let's start with these bubbles. Now, the opening conversation really kickstarted this for you. So many people that I've coached, even highest performers, recognize that in their whole life, which is what this bubble represents, the blue is the outline of your whole life. In the middle of your whole life is what? You got any ideas? It's me. Meaning yourself. And so many people, if you think about these as bubbles, as the amount of time, energy, resource that you put into this, and it's a physical representation of it, their me bubble is down here as a little bloop, like a little dot, because they let these other bubbles override. You'll hear things like this. Hey, you know what? I'm falling apart. I haven't taken care of me. My self-care is completely out of whack. I haven't been exercising, haven't been eating right, I haven't been sleeping right. And I feel burnt out. The world needs to leave me alone. These are signs of not taking care of you. On the flip side, when you get your rest, like we talked about through those beautiful 10 areas, you get your rest, you're hydrating, you're clear, you have your daily plan, and you're purposeful. This should stay in check. So I'd love for you to draw. Part of your exercise here is number 2, draw your life bubbles. This is your whole life, and here's the me bubble. And draw it in proportion to how well you've been doing this year so far. Meaning you got your whole life, how well have you been taking care of yourself? Is it a big bubble? Is it a little bubble? Is it even non-existent? Like, ooh, me? What? I got too many other things I gotta handle. I got responsibilities with work, with my family, with my lover, as we say in high performance, all these other areas. So that brings us to the next bubble. And that is, and we'll do this one in red, lover. Your significant other if you have one. I'm gonna put a little heart there too. So often, especially for people that I coach who've been married 10 or more years, that bubble becomes minuscule. Yeah, we go home, we watch TV, How much love, care, energy, joy have you been bringing into your relationship with your love? Seriously, take a moment, think about that. Is that bubble pulsing, radiant, or is that bubble like just a little dinky air bubble, like a speck in the big life picture? And are you okay with that? You know, that's the thing. You see how these bubbles work out? I love this visual. We got these bubbles, and these are based on what we teach in high performance, the life arenas. But I'll tell you what, to live the most fulfilling, purposeful life, the highest performers on this beautiful planet of ours are dialing in those bubbles, and they're recognizing this is like living, breathing, course correcting. You follow that? Pretty powerful. Now let's step into the next bubble, our family. That was the thing for me that shifted the most as I stepped into this work. Was I always felt, because I was brought up this way through my role models and a sign of the time, 70s, 80s, 90s, where work, which we'll get to in a minute, like transcended everything else. So if you want to visualize, the work bubble was just inside of this life bubble. And then there's a little dinky family bubble and a little dinky me bubble, a little dinky there. But the highest performers know it's kind of a living in harmony, as I like to say. Living in balance is what a lot of people say. I don't like the word balance. Living in harmony with all these bubbles, kind of staying the same size. Or depending on your life, you may have more preference. Like you take care of yourself, and that may be a smaller bubble than the contribution bubble, because that's what your life's about. And that's cool, as long as your me bubble isn't too small. Like you're not, like the way you know that to be true is if you are breaking down mentally, emotionally, physically, because you're not taking care of yourself well enough. You follow? Next up, friends. And I recognize going into this year, I really got to dial that up. Not that I need more friends per se. I always love to have new friends. Don't get me wrong. But I needed to have more quality time with my friends on a one-to-one basis. And I've been on that, owning it. You see some of my pictures on Instagram reflecting that. Really powerful. So how are you doing in these 4 areas so far? What's showing up for you? Would love to see. As you think this through. Any reprioritization of your bubbles? At least the ones we've covered so far? Boy, isn't this powerful? I love going through this with you. Love taking care of you this way. Love owning this conversation with you. Next up is work. what I like to call, or we call in high performance, your mission. How are you doing there? So many people let that bubble consume their whole life, or a big part of this life bubble. And they got to dial that down. And I was totally that guy. If you know my story, in the 90s, running the big business, that thing, when we started, it was like this, and then it just pulsed and pulsed and pulsed, and pretty much it was everything. It just put in the corners of this everything else. And man, I felt destroyed. So many relationships just from neglect had fallen apart. Not because I was mean or whatever in that regard, just from not taking care of, being compassionate, caring, present with others. Let that fall apart. Is that showing up for you? Is the work bubble too big right now for you? Do you need to reprioritize in these other areas? I'd love to know. And if I can help you really reset, restart, rejuvenate, whatever that would be, please know I'm here for you. If you have any questions about that, bring it into our Zoom roundtables or comment below, whatever that would be. We'll make sure we take care of you. Next bubble, contribution. Some people, they'll talk about contribution as volunteering. So I'll put volunteer. Others, they'll contribute by providing value. I know a few people that contribute. Their contribution is going on the world and putting goodwill in the world through contributing online. Like in posts, they'll put really verbose posts that help people in specific struggle points. And really powerful the way they do it. You follow? That's the magic of this. I just want to make sure I'm taking care of you there so you get some ideas. Contribution. So how's that bubble going for you? Is it non-existent? Some people that I know and I've coached, they're like, I've got to pull myself out of these things. I'm overcommitted in the contribution space. Like in the PTA and with my church and these other areas. They're like, this is taking up way too much time and it's hindering these other areas of my life. And the me area. Is that you? What's the shift that you got to put in play? And if you're just out of ideas or you're too tired to think about it, comment below, let me know, or bring it into our Zoom roundtable. Be happy to help you there. Next bubble, hobbies. We talked about this in the life arenas. How are you doing with your hobbies and passions? How are they sitting here? Are they, if we were to do a snapshot of this bubble every day, is that bubble staying consistent? Is it shrinking? Is it non-existent some parts of the week or month or year? I hope you understand the importance of having hobbies and taking care of that. Really critical, really powerful. Cool. Is this helping? Would love to know. Comment below if this is helping you visualize your whole life in a new way, just in a new frame of reference. I love this because if you just draw a circle and in it, even with your family or your lover, whatever that would be, just draw that out. And you're like, let's just draw the bubbles of this, how big they feel for you in life right now. Like if you're not paying attention to certain areas, like with me, your love, or whatever that would be, make it small. If you're owning that area, yeah, the last week we've gone after big friends, make that bubble big. But then consider this. What is it we got to do to keep these things in a harmony, in an equilibrium? And recognize life shows up, and you may be on vacation. So work that week is no bubble, right? Cool. But friends, family, love, depending on who you're vacation with and yourself, you're like charging those up so they're bigger. That's totally fine. All this is a way to just recognize in the life arenas we teach in high performance where things are at in a visual format. Is this pretty cool? I hope you love it. I love it. Next up is spirit. And would love to know, in terms of spirit, some people that's religion, getting connected to something bigger than you. For me, that's like nature, going out, just astronomy, like studying the planets, connects me with my spirit. You follow? For some people, that's meditation that connects them to a higher level of being or to a God, whatever that would be. Prayer, these kind of things. So how are you doing with your spirit? How big is that bubble? What's showing up for you there? You think about that every day? Really powerful when you get this in play. And then finally, as we look at all these bubbles, we have finances. And the reason we put that in here in the life arenas is because with this, dialed in, life feels a lot more comfortable. You'll hear a lot of people, and I hear this a lot coaching, that they're like, until I get my finances right, I can't possibly go and find a significant other. I can't spend as much time with my family. I've got to work this. Especially the entrepreneurs that I work with who are in setup mode, where they got an idea, they're going after it, but they got to get themselves to a level, as I teach, of break even, so that the business is generating enough to sustain their lifestyle at a very basic level. Sometimes not terribly basic, but you get what I mean? And so they got to dial that in. And in that context, that bubble may be big and that bubble may be big. Like the bubble of finances, meaning owning your finances and really prioritizing and taking care of things, is taking mind over your life, essentially, at the mind level, and you're really working to get it sorted. So these two may be bigger, and then this other stuff may be smaller. But my challenge for you, and I've done this in my life, is to assure that you still have these things going on if they're important to you. So many people that I've coached, they're like, I'm not even considering getting a boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other until I dial this and this in. But I do want to make sure I'm there for my family and my friends. And I'm taking care of myself, because I know that without that, none of this matters. So how do you feel about the bubble exercise? The life arenas in a bubble fashion, kind of prioritizing where things are at. Is that good? Oh, I hope you're loving it. So incredibly powerful. So let me give you some life themes. When you think about the bubbles, we have to talk about the ambitious life. Part of my purpose on this planet is to ensure that I'm helping you live into your ambitions. The number one thing that seems to come up as I coach people on an ambitious life, these two words, kind of the theme is the thing, but these two words represent the theme, is fun and freedom. So I do this exercise, I was going to bring it out for you, but it's basically 11 by 17 sheet of paper, and I put fun and freedom at the top, and at the end of last year, we just lay it out in green and blue and red, all these different things that represent fun and freedom for 2019. So on that list, there's going to the beach, day trips to Miami, or an overnighter in Miami, because there's so much culture and love and art and everything over there. Up to Atlanta to see family. Out to Las Vegas for a little bit of time to have some fun in Vegas. Maybe going over to Europe, playing Uno, playing Stratego, one of my favorite board games from way back. Playing some video games where we're all playing, like Wii Mario Kart. These represent fun and freedom for us. And that's part of living the ambitious life. You follow? You feel how this kind of connects? So the fun and freedom piece can fuel a lot of these bubbles, right? Really, really powerful. Because if you can go into, let's just say you're a big brother, big sister volunteer, and you can bring fun and freedom into that, play games with people who just need a mentor, that's really pivotal, right? If you can bring more fun and freedom into your love, hello, what are we here for, right? Your family, your friends, yourself. I'd love to know as you think this through, what are 5 things that represent your perception of having fun and feeling free, just for you? You want me to help you with it? One of them for me is just going out for a run. Just getting out in nature and going after it. Does that all make sense? Pretty cool, huh? So next up is the trifecta of happiness. And this is a big part of the work that we do for ourselves, for our family, these kind of things. And I want to make sure that we dial this in. And if you haven't heard of this before, it's what some of the highest performers report, create, share, as a way to feel fulfilled in life. And if they have a business, this can be a business model too. So I'd love to know, as you think about, what are you learning? What are you creating? What are you sharing for yourself and for the world? You feel that vibe? So many people, they'll learn something new, they'll create something from it, like a worksheet or a course that helps others through their own lens, their own context, and then they'll share that with the world. And that can be monetized. But the highest performers are doing this consistently. We talked a lot about this in our perspective part of our work today, as we think about happiness. Being around people that uplift me, but also learning new things, creating from what we've learned and sharing them with the world. Even if it's just with your love, with your family, with your friends. Maybe it's part of your mission. Maybe it's part of the work you do as contribute. Maybe it's a hobby of yours, is to learn something new, create from it, sell it. I used to do woodworking. That was a big part of that. with your spirit, learning something new, learning new ways to connect with your spirit, sharing it with your finances, learning new ways to manage money, creating things from it, sharing it with people you love. Hey, did you know this? You can go on a certain site and like invest in bringing clean water to people who don't have it. And you get a return on the investment. You follow? I hope we're helping stir up some ideas for you. Thank you so much for being here, letting me help you, serve you, take care of you. How you doing on this? You feel how this lives into the premise of today's training? Pretty powerful. The 3 R's. We want to make sure we dial these in for you. Everything about me, and I'm going to draw a little line here, relates to these 3 R's. And how well you feel, purposeful, fulfilled. Whether you're rested, rejuvenated, and whether you need to reset. And I just want to make sure we dial that in as we end our training piece today. When you feel rested, rejuvenated, and reset, you get a vibrance for life. You know the times where you just didn't get enough rest and you're like, I got all this stuff that I want to do today and I don't have the energy to do it that I want. For me, when that happens, and it does, I just go into reset mode and I'll go and I'll lay out by the pool for 20 minutes. I'll meditate. I'll even take a power nap. I got to get my energy where it needs to be so I can bring full love and connection for you. Cool? I hope this training has gone the way I feel it's gone for you. And if you love what we're doing here, comment below with some things that you're going to think about and go after. So the last part of our journey today is getting into the tactics. So, number 1, think about this. Ask where my life is being sucked away. Any of these bubbles or any other distractions, competing interests, where life just feels like it's being pulled away. Anything there for you? What's showing up and why? Sometimes you can use the screen time app. If you have an iPhone, they tell you like in the last week, here's the amount of time on average that you've been spending on your phone. Or even break it down as to what apps you were using. And I was surprised to learn that I was spending like an hour to 2 hours on mine. But I do use it for reading. I do read. That's what I use instead of books. I use the Kindle app on the iPad to read. So I was like, okay, am I learning? Is this along the lines of the 3 R's and or learn, create, share? Yes, dialed in. And sometimes I just want to check in on life, so I'll read some Reddit, Reddit, and go over the popular posts. Really powerful there. My second challenge for you today is to draw your life bubbles in proportion. I'd love to see that. If you want to text me, feel free to text me or email it to me. I'd love to see how your life is showing up with the bubbles representing the amount of time, energy, love, care, and resource that you put into these. So many people I've had do that, and I've only had a few do that so far. But they've put the me bubble like this, and then they put the work bubble like this, and they put the lover bubble like this, and said, gotta work on this. You follow? See the power of this? I hope you're seeing it. Third, prioritize what needs the most attention and care. So really think about, of all these areas right now, what needs the most attention or care? And most people will say it's the self-care piece. And that's why it's really critical as we started our journey today. We planted the seed of the big picture with the life assessment. Then we drove into the 10 areas. I call it the wheel of perspective. Sleep, hydration, eating, nutrient-rich, exercise, breaks, those kind of things. Because now we have context for what to prioritize. And I can tell you the number one thing when I went from being the night owl to the morning guy back in 2011 and 12, sleep. When I got sleep, the world seemed much more rosy, much better. Really, really powerful that way. So amazing. So I want to make sure we dial that in for you. Next up is schedule weekly events, one topic each. So one of the biggest challenges that I have for people is they see all this stuff they got to change and they're overwhelmed. So my challenge for you is real simple. You take whatever it is that you feel is the highest priority here and you schedule for the next week. This is what I got to handle. And maybe for you, it's self-care. And maybe the one thing you're going to do next week, so you might put in a weekly event in your schedule, if you use Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, whatever that would be, or Outlook. You might put in a weekly event that says self-care dash, and maybe it's just hydrating. Maybe it's dial in sleep. But one topic, this is the thing. You have 52 times per year at a weekly level to make shifts in your life. Do you think if you just put one thing in per week and concentrate on that, brought a little more energy, attention to it, that would shift or pivot for you? I can tell you with a lot of people I work with, it does, and it's powerful. So what is that for you? If you're up for an extra challenge, schedule the first, let's just say the next 3 weeks, or the next 4 weeks, the next month, and then share. The week 1, I'm going to go after, maybe it's self-care-sleep. Week 2, self-care/hydration. Week 3, self-care-exercise. I'm just going to go out and make sure every day I'm outside for 30 minutes or in the gym for 30 minutes. Continually. You follow the difference here? You see how this can pivot? I hope so. Want to take care of you there. And then finally, as we think about the biggest part of this, is share what you're doing with others. Because here's what I know. Everything we try to arc in the work of being more open, more vulnerable, more conscious of who we are, when we share with others, we inspire others, but we also get accountability from it. And if you're not comfortable in your environment sharing with the people around you, that's totally cool. Our job is to share with the people that are in our community, or you can share it with me and make sure that we're taking care of you so that you feel the reward of the work you're putting in. That you get that champion on, that cheerleading, you're on this. I'm so proud of you. And I want to make sure that I'm that person for you. If nobody else on this planet, and I've been told this so many times in the work that we're blessed to do as coaches, dude, you're the only person who celebrates these small wins with me. You're the only person who doesn't live in the world of blame, excuse, denial. Who's in the world of, let's go after the bigger dream. Let's get clear on living a life of accountability, ownership, responsibility, and ambitious life. So that being said, adult learning theory says we got to recap what we've covered together, and we'll bring this beautiful training to an end. Here's what we've done. Today, we've gone through the life assessment to really get the conversation started about what a full, purposeful life is. Then we dipped into some tactics. We talked about those 10 areas. Sleep, eating, hydration, all that kind of stuff. Then we moved into the bubbles, the training piece, and I hope you got a lot out of it. Really owning this. And gave you some context for an ambitious life. Like these are the kind of big things that people are dialing in. These are the sort of big takeaways from all the coaching I've done. When we talk these things, people are like, I get that. That I can put mind, power into, energy, resource, and go after it. I feel it. And I feel the change with my love, with my family, with my friends, with my work, with my contribution, hobbies, spirit, finances, the whole shebang, right? Then we went into tactics. And if you take anything away from our beautiful time together today, take this away. The idea that one event per week as a weekly event that you're just bringing a little more energy, attention, love, care into can be the shift for you for the year. It's the power of weekly challenges. And that's where we're living it. So as you know, my job on this planet is to help you live a purposeful, passionate, positive, bringing the joy. I hope I did that for you today. Productive, not necessarily getting more done, but getting the right things done as we look into this, and profitable life. And I hope I delivered for you. I can't wait to see you in our Business Internet Monthly Mastery Training. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.